Whoops. Oh, yeah. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, the one and only A Switch, aka that nigga with them knuckles. AKA who keep putting this pastrami in my pocket. AKA let me get a little bit of that sugar, put it in a damn Ziploc bag. AKA the Komaki Tiger Dropper. AKA the nigga lip master. Bringing you yet another episode of Switches Sites, episode 165. Today's date is October 27th, 2022. My goodness, where's the time gone? It is almost about to be November, and then it's about to be December, and then the year is over. It's crazy. I have no sense of time anymore. I really don't. Cause my goodness. Outside of that, I have a pretty good show for you this week. Boy, oh boy, them showcases been popping off. Controversy with Bayonetta. Gotham Knights controversy. I bet. What is it? Is it a new gate? I guess we'll talk about it, of course. Yeah. Without further ado, let's stop the dilly-dallying and get right into it. First topic of discussion. Resident Evil Showcase popped off, was it last week? I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. Man, where do I start? Well, at least they started it off with getting a new trailer for the Resident Evil Winners Expansion DLC. So we got a little bit more info regarding that, which was great. Some additional details. I mean, more so a lot of what we already knew, but that was cool. Then I forgot they did show Reverse showed his head yet again. That reminds me. I did not even put that in. Let me do that right now. Cause I sure as heck forgot. My goodness. Yeah. Make a quick little audible. You know, when you're making the plays, you just gotta make audible. That's what you gotta do. You ain't a real player if you can't make an audible. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So Reverse, they showed what alludes to some significant changes, potentially, because they showed in the trailer. Playing it for myself. Let's refresh. They show that like I forgot the team that was in Resident Evil 8. Chris Redfield's team. It shows as if they're like, you know, crew members or what have you, and having all these tools, but not quite sure what that is. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe they're just a new character that has, because they have a lot of traits of some of the characters in there. But sure, but more or less is like pretty much the same. I played the beta. They had a little beta before. This is apparently going to come out this weekend, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, you got that. Uh, Resident Evil Village coming to Nintendo Switch Cloud versions. Yeah. Um, I did mess with a Resident Evil Village Cloud version. It is what it is. I was just curious at regardless, but I only got to pay like for a good like 30 minutes and then they cut me off, it seems. Even less, I think, but nonetheless, there is that. Then of course the cream of the crop, the show we all came for, really was Resident Evil 4. Got a pretty wealthy, extensive look at the gameplay, as well as like the starting moments of the game in terms of the plot. It was a healthy dose of information we got from this showcase. Definitely, it's so much to dissect, but I guess we'll at least hit whatever most of what is worthwhile. So at least the showcase, the demo, whatever, started off with Leon going into presumably the first house that he went into in the original, and it definitely has a totally different vibe now. So Leon is like exploring and whatnot, and it seems like a totally different vibe, very much a more creepy, scary, eerie type vibe, if you will. And it seems kind of similar to Village in some ways as well, also, in terms of one of the locations you go to in Village. But it's very interesting, I have to say, in the respect to that. And then he shows his first appearance with the first enemy, who at least who I assume is the first enemy. But totally it's like a different vibe, but not too much to where it's off putting in respect to like I don't like it. No, it feels different but welcomed, I'd say. Yeah. So then they show a little bit that the encounter with the enemy who looks like his head is broken off, whatever. Then we go to the village, the infamous first encounter. I forgot they did like show a little stealth element to the game as well, and I'm assuming some different house. But then after that, they showed the village where they have the first encounter where you can like glance at everybody through your binoculars before interacting with them, and that was a whole plethora of information. You got obviously Leon fighting with the villagers as expected, but now they did show, or at least confirm, that the melee is coming back. I mean, you never know. Consider the new engine. We've yet to see any like actiony melee, but at least in this one we did get confirmation he did like shoot a dude and do a full infamous roundhouse kick, iconic even roundhouse kick, which was fantastic. What else? They showed of course, so many iconic moments really, but they showed the optional moment in the original where you go into into one of the particular houses where it actually it'll bring out one of the enemies. I forgot what they call them, but chainsaw baghead man, we'll call him that. That's catchy. Chainsaw baghead man. He's totally different now. His eyes are really fucked up. He looks way more demented, which I think definitely works. They show him, breaking in. It seems like you don't necessarily use barriers anymore, like in the original where you had to, to barricade yourself, you had to move the shelves in place to prevent the enemies from coming in, or at least giving you more time before they come in, to get ammo and other items, so they also showed apparently you can burn the cow, at least in the one village where he'll like, I guess obviously if you're on fire you're gonna run, so which gets the cow to like run. What did he say? He said some bullshit after he like, charge it on my bill. Like, Leon, you killed an innocent cow just to save your ass. You didn't need to do that. But I digress. They also show what seems like a new mechanic, where you can, when you get grabbed, it seems like, especially with the chainsaw Ganado, it seems like they prep him up where if you maybe don't press the buttons fast enough, that they'll probably do like some type of special interaction where the chainsaw Ganado will, like, maybe stab you in the stomach or something, rather than the head or something like that. It definitely looks like they at least prop you up to get chainsaw, which is definitely one of the more significant changes, I think, compared to the original, where it is more not as, I guess, connected, where it was solely separate, if you will, because I think if you're grabbed and the chainsaw guy comes, I think you technically have invincibility, I want to say. Could be wrong about that, but at least that was my interpretation of it. I never let myself get to that point to even get chainsawed, but that's just me. So you got that. What else? Oh yeah, they definitely showed the iconic moment. There's so many iconic moments. Well, this is a new one. So basically, they showed the guy where you can actually stab enemies on the ground now, where it's more interactive, where you don't have to, like RE4, where you had to equip the knife, aim your knife all the way down, then cut the dude. At least this seems way more seamless and welcome for sure, in terms of a more streamlined approach of finishing off enemies that are on the ground. Of course, the enemies, they all look modernized and believable. At least that's one thing I did notice. They don't look as like like a copy of 4 of the villagers, but they just copied them and they look the exact same, like the same 4 villagers kind of mixed in. It at least what it felt like, but at least now it seems way more diverse and more genuine, which of course is appreciated. Probably the biggest, they left on like the biggest like oh shit moment, which was there was after he stabbed an enemy nearby, the chainsaw Ganado was pretty much coming in for that head, and we're, of course everybody, including myself, was like, oh yeah, they're just gonna show him get his head cut off, aren't they? So right before he does it, you get a little prompt, and then now apparently Leon can parry chainsaws with his little booty Boy Scout knife. And that's what he did. He whipped that thing out. He like, oh no, not today, no, not today, Ganado. You not getting me, bitch. Fuck you. And it, that's word for word what he said. And this is word for word what he said. Oh my god, that was killing me. Oh man. Yeah, so Oh my god, that is killing me. Oh man. So yeah, so he can yeah, apparently parry Ganato's attacks. But I think in some other gameplay they showed him also parrying enemies as well, like enemies attacks. Like I think they showed, one of the Ganatos that that had the pitchforks. He was about to do his attack, but then Leon got a prompt on screen, and he was able to like parry it with a melee kick, which is pretty dope. Hey, if you know me, you know I love me some parries. So hey, one of my favorite games of all time, and you put a little bit of parry in there. Ooh, ooh, man, you got me sold. That's all I'm saying. You got me sold. Let me tell you that. Um, yeah, that's pretty much where it ended. Then they showed, of course, a extensive trailer showing like a lot of stuff further into the game. It's so much. Where do I yeah, story trailer. Let's actually watch it live. It's a lot to dissect. I think they showed the one scene where the one of the people got killed for a ritual. I think they just show some random woman, I'm guessing, getting sacrificed. I don't think we saw that in the original. So you got that. We got hints of Sadler. We didn't see him yet. We saw who else? Oh, we saw Luis Serra. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Looking, he looks a little grimier than not as suave. Well, he looks like he's got some suave, but a lot of griminess to him. We got the big cheese. They show so they do get injected with the virus like the original. Ashley still apprehensive. Get out of here. I don't know you. What else? They oh yeah, I think what surprised a lot of people, they showed who else? Salazar. Not is it Salazar? Ramon Salazar. Yeah. The little guy. He looks pretty surprisingly decent for, obviously how crazy he was in the original. Obviously, I think they're going to tone it down, but maybe they might just keep a good balance. Who knows? They got of course Ada Wong. Who else did we see? What's the big monster? The fuck, I forgot what it's called. The name does not come to me. But the big ass monster. You know what I'm talking about. They showed the sea serpent. I forgot what that one's called. The one where you fight in a boat. So at least we got that confirmed. What else? I think that was at least the good gist of everything. So we at least definitely got pretty much all of the village portion intact. A little bit of the church portion. I'm curious what if it has to be. You definitely can't leave like what's his name? Krauser out of it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think they confirmed, I saw some people's impressions that apparently some media got flown out and got to play the game. And I did hear that, at least specifically, that Krauser was referenced in some I think some gameplay element where you like play with him before the events of this game or something like that, where they actually give you a little bit of a kind of a recap or flashback of playing with his duties. I guess outside of the Dark Side Chronicles game where you actually get to do that too. But yeah, I'm very curious how overall I'm very I loved what I saw about pretty much everything in regards to it. It definitely seems like they're going at least in the right direction in terms of remaking this game that didn't need to be remade yet, but here we are. I'm a little skeptical in terms of like as a whole how it will stack up to the original RE4, which I feel is damn near perfect in a lot of ways. But I definitely want to be very wrong, very incorrect, for sure. I feel like I'm gonna play this and then feel like, well, that's it. Or immediately feel like, yeah, it just doesn't, this isn't good as good as the original, which I think is okay, but I don't know. It's like if you're gonna remake 4, then you gotta go balls out, But we'll see. We will see what comes of it. My biggest curiosity though is what are they gonna cut out? What are they scrapping? My suspicion is that they're probably gonna get rid of the island segment to some extent. I don't think we're gonna see the island in this remake. I think some way, shape, or form they're gonna truncate it into something else, or that we're just gonna all the events are gonna take place in the island. I mean the church, or maybe that might be where things actually reach the final act compared to this island. We'll see. I don't know. That's tough, man. Because a part of me does still want it. Maybe just that it's a slog in some respects, but yeah, I think if anything, they're probably at least maybe gonna cut the island down. Either cut it completely or cut it down in length in some ways. But of course, keep them awesome moments. Gotta keep that Krauser knife battle. Maybe do something interesting with it. I guess maybe, I don't know. I go back and forth in terms of if I want it to be a actual boss fight or still be that QTE cutscene. Because I think that was kind of the coolness about it. That like it was a dope cutscene that you're also interacting with, passively, but still feeling that interaction. So that's gonna be tough. I'm curious. I don't know how I'm gonna feel either way until the game is in the hands. I forgot they did the merchant. Merchant is back with his what are you buying? What are you selling? Not as does at least off the bat doesn't feel as iconic as the original, but I mean, obviously we've played the game so many times and have that his voice ingrained in our memory. Anything different, slightly different at that is probably going to be off-putting, offsetting, but it could potentially grow. They showed a lot of progression with the guns and stuff. Love to see it. Various treasures you can sell, which is dope. You can sell treasures. I love that. I mean, obviously you could do that in the original game, but they say it's different now, and they also implemented like the component mixing, like gunpowder ish mixing elements, like from at least 3, where you can mix powders to make certain ammo, I believe. So you got that. The attaché case is back, so that's good. Yeah, they definitely confirmed a lot of stuff. How could I forget about at least the biggest supposed controversy regarding this game, at least from what I've seen so far, is that apparently the dog, that dog, from the El Gigante, that's the guy, the big guy from the El, who comes to help you if you help him out the bear trap in for the El Gigante battle. Apparently they show him killed. Him, yeah, assuming it's him. That dog, I think it's a him. Feels like I got him vibes. They apparently showed the dog killed by the bear trap in this remake. At least it's heavily implied that it's the dog. It could potentially be one of the Plagas infected dogs that you see later in the game, but at least from what was shown, it looks like that dog that's killed, and that I don't agree with that. That I think that in of itself might immediately prevent it from even becoming any spec better than the original RE4. So we'll see. Maybe there's some way to change fate. Maybe like if you do a new game plus, you actually can save them. Maybe on an easier mode, you could probably, maybe he is there to be helped and then help you out. But that just doesn't seem right either way. That should be a constant regardless. Can't be killing that dog. Come on now. So we'll see. But yeah, at least from seeing everything, I'm definitely loved what I saw. It's just a part of me feels skeptical in terms of as a whole how it will stack up to the original RE4. But I definitely want to be wrong, and in hoping that this surpasses the original in almost every way, which would be dope. So we'll see. We will see fairly soon. March 24th. The release date. Pre-orders alive. That collector's edition. Ooh boy. Hey, I have to. That's a must. That's an absolute must. I tell you. So yeah. Overall, that was a very fun showcase. Yeah, they gave us so much Resident Evil 4. I hope we get a demo. My guess is we'll probably get a demo in January. Well, they tend to do it like a month before, so likely February we'll probably get a demo before the full game comes out in March. So yeah, Resident Evil Showcase. Let's move on. So after that, or I think technically before, we also got the Silent Hill transmission. So yes, we finally got confirmation that yes, we got Silent Hill 2 remake exists. Heavily rumored. It was to the point where people were like, okay, this dude, his credibility is at risk, but it is finally come true that Silent Hill 2 is being remade. I think it is being remade by Bloober Team, who worked on, I think, what was it? The Medium, at least the most recent, I think, some other games. But yeah, it was rumored they were working on it, and that is, of course, the case. Also, they're getting help from the original artist of the original game, from the infamous Team Silent that made the original quadrilogy of the Silent Hill games. But Masahiro Ito, and then of course yet another infamous composer, Akira Yamaoka, who made the impeccable soundtrack of 1 and 2. I think pretty much all of at least the original 4, I want to say. Maybe even more than that. I want to let me actually fact check that, because I'm curious. I am curious. Let's see. So yeah, he did a lot. Did a lot of work. So yeah, Silent Hill, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, Silent Hill for the Room. Yeah, I guess he did Origin, Silent Hill Origin, Silent Hill's a Homecoming, Silent Hill Shattered Memories. So yeah, he pretty much was with the whole damn series. He even did the movie to some extent. At least he executive produced the movie. Okay. All right, Akira. Okay, Akira. I see you out here. So you got that. Saw like a little bit of a at least conceptual trailer. They showed like James himself, of course, Mary a little bit, and the original the starting moments. So you got at least a cut scene of all of that. I don't. It's questionable if that was gameplay. It seemed to be more like a cut scene. Yeah, it seems like just game cut scene rather than necessarily gameplay. I guess it kind of could be game. No, it looks very much trailer as not indicative of the actual gameplay. But yeah, coming to PS5 and Steam. So it is going to be, console exclusive for a year on PS5, and then obviously eventually coming to other platforms after that. We got Silent Hill Townfall, which is going to be made by Annapurna Interactive. Not much was said about this. I think this is the one that was going to be is said to be interactive. I want to say, I could be wrong. Yeah, I think they announced so many of them, but no, it's not. I think this is just a unique one. We don't know much about it, but it is apparently a unique take on the Silent Hill franchise, for what that's worth. They showed Silent Hill F, which is basically Silent Hill within like set in 1960s Japan. This is a narrative driven spin-off that will be written by acclaimed Japanese writer Ryukishi 07. So that is interesting. Silent Hill Ascension is the one they announced. So this one is pretty fascinating in terms of that it is supposed to be like a let's play version of Silent Hill, that'll be live on multiple platforms. So at least the premise is like it's supposed to be an interactive version of Silent Hill where I guess the audience will be able to choose the outcome of certain things within this story, which is that in of itself is pretty fascinating. But it is apparently going to be on multiple platforms, so I guess maybe it's on a weekly basis where an episode will come out, and then after that episode you determine or judge what will happen next, and then after that information is compiled they'll go a certain direction. So that's definitely interesting, in of itself there. Return to Silent Hill, which is a movie, a third movie. I didn't even know they made a second one, but it's the third movie in the series. So it'll be a Return to Silent Hill, and the events are basically going to be after the second Silent Hill, to my understanding. Basically following the whole James plot or whatnot. So, and that was pretty much it. Of course, they had some very cheeky merch. They had, of course, that dog from the infamous ending from Silent Hill 2. Of course, all the pyramid heads is of course the James Sunderland figure and all that stuff there. So, but yeah, at least it was definitely good to get at least confirmation that Silent Hill is back, is actually there. It has not been put on the wayside or in this weird limbo, or being made into indefinite pachinko machines. So at least it's good that at least Konami is not neglecting these IPs, because obviously they're very strong IPs. Like a lot of people revere Silent Hill 2 as one of the best games of all times, and at least I can definitely see that for sure. I could definitely see that. Yeah, it doesn't make me actually want to revisit it at some point. But I thoroughly, of course, enjoyed it. It's definitely way up there for sure. So, yeah, overall, it was a very good transmission. It was funny, like every segment they were going to different parts in the cloud, in Silent Hill apparently, and it was weird that they're green screened. Is oh, where are we at now? Oh, I don't know. So that was interesting. That was interesting to say the least. Um, yeah. Survival horror is making a whole new damn resurgence. My goodness. My goodness. I'm moving on. Bayonetta 3, which is actually coming out tonight, is was under some fire a couple weeks before. At least started off with some controversy. Who would have thought? So at least the word on the street was, take my sip. Gotta take my sip. Word on the street was that the original voice actor for Bayonetta, at least for the first two games, and I think Smash Brothers and stuff like that, Hellena Taylor, had just made this video on Twitter speaking out against Platinum Games and the Bayonetta game, and basically saying to boycott the game. And this was due because she felt like she was offered too low of a asking price for voicing for this sequel. So she said that she was offered only $10,000 or $15,000 to $10,000. I think it was $10,000 to do the whole role with no residuals. So she spoke about this publicly on Twitter, and saying to boycott Bayonetta 3, don't buy the game. So that puts everybody in a weird spot. Like, all right, we really are really excited about this. We've been waiting to get a third game, so I don't know if I want to. But so then Jason Schreier, of course, of Bloomberg, and a couple other reporters did some sleuthing, and from sources they discovered that it was that she actually asked for I think $1 million, or I think six figures at least, as well as residuals for her role in this third game. And yeah, at least, and then it's now the he said, she said, but at least considering that, it seems like she was kind of in the wrong here, and kind of being spiteful because she didn't get what is immediately a ridiculous amount of money for a role. Mind you that this game series is very niche. This is, we're not talking about like Mass Effect, I guess, Halo, God of War. We talking about Bayonetta. Not no shade to Bayonetta, of course, but this is just being honest in terms of knowing the audience that Bayonetta has. Like, this is Platinum Games. This is the only way that Bayonetta was able to, was able to get up, was because of Nintendo's partnership with Platinum Games to continue the game. So in no way this is like a huge, big ass franchise that can be throwing money like that. At least just being realistic in that regard. And then she made the claim that this is This is a $450 million franchise, not counting merchandise, and people are kind of confused by like how did she compile that? Because that definitely is not accurate. Because it's like, is she compiling over total sales? But then it's like a lot of that will get dispersed. Like if you're factoring in like just sales from multiple like previous platforms, that's still shady because then it's like a lot that's cut to distributed to like, you know, the retailers, and you know, so it's not really fair to make that assumption either way. But so basically she was saying that she was only getting 15,000 for like 4 sessions, and you know she wanted more obviously like 6 figures, so they were understandably like no, and then went with I forgot the other actress. And then there was apparently, you know, people getting like going towards her because that she felt like it was you know, that they felt like it wasn't right or whatever. So yeah, basically it is from what was being presented to us, it seems like Hellena Taylor was in the wrong. Not saying that you were entitled to $1 million, but it's like, in at least being realistic, that's very very unrealistic, especially considering the franchise we're talking about here. Not saying that she didn't deserve a decent pay, but I mean, we talking about Bayonetta. I don't, it just, that series in of itself is not really necessarily that big to at least warrant something like that. But you know, yeah. So it's kind of unfortunate that at least when presented with the facts, that she still kind of tried to save face by still lying, basically. So now her like credibility is tarnished at this point because of that. And it's unfortunate. It's like, yeah, you could have just not done that, but now it's like you're gonna be looking horrible, you know, amongst other, a lot of, you know, any potential further acting gigs you want to get. And it's pretty messy, pretty messy. um yeah, yeah, that's asking for a lot. My goodness, $250,000, like, so nonetheless, that's it's unfortunate because well, you know, obviously. And then Twitter, and that's the thing here too, like Twitter like ran with it, you know, based off of her initial video regarding this. And then of course now the facts came out, but then it's the thing about Twitter is that, you know, misinformation, you know, really trumps a lot. So like, you know, a lot of people are probably still believing that, you know, Platinum is in the wrong here. But you know, after everything was said and done, it definitely seems like that's not the case. So unfortunate, because it's like this potentially maybe could have hurt Bayonetta 3 in some ways. But you know, hey, of course I'm definitely supporting the game for sure. So very unfortunate. But yeah, at least either way, that is unprofessional in a lot of ways. But you know, I digress. I digress. Moving on. Gotham Knights. Boy, oh boy, this is some controversy. Let me tell you. So, Gotham Knights was originally set to be a multi-platform game. But like a little further into the development cycle of the game, they did announce that Gotham Knights is going to be next gen only, or current gen only. I still always fight with that. Current gen only, PS5, Series S, Series X, and so with that in mind, it's like, okay, all right, hey, this is going to be a legit, you know, next gen or current gen game now, without the previous gen to hold it back. But then during the review preview period, people, or I think they announced straight up that Gotham Knights for consoles is going to be 30 FPS only. So that that just is that just ain't right. So people are like, what? It's like, what? So yeah. So now this incited a whole discussion in terms of 30 FPS versus 60 FPS yet again. But I think the issue is that it's more so the game was poorly optimized versus the game's intent in terms of direction. So just to paint the picture, in regards to 30 FPS, personally, I don't have an issue playing a game in 30 FPS if that's, of course, the only option I have, and also is the intent of the the vision of the director, development team of the game. But where I have an issue is if it's indicative of just poor optimization and development of a game, which in this case I think is where this game falls, where the game is basically poorly developed in terms of being efficient to pull off 60 FPS. And this was proven by the awesome work that Digital Foundry does and did with getting like an indication of the PC port of the game, which of course, I guess depending on your hardware, if it's generally up to date, in theory should be able to pull off at least 60 FPS. But at least from what they saw in testing, that it definitely seems like it's due to the game being very CPU intensive, which based on the current consoles, just was not optimized enough to utilize it. So basically, this is like what brought up the whole discussion, is that like of course previous consoles, in terms of switching from a current gen to new gen, or transitioning from current gen to new gen, or having cross gen games where you have the 60 FPS for the current gen, and then of course 30 FPS for the previous gen. But now it's like people aren't necessarily a fan of that loop going again, because at least now we're in this generation where at least we have performance mode, or fidelity mode, and that's at least what I think a lot of us have been used to. So at least now it seems very weird to be just restricted to fidelity mode, quote unquote. And I think that's an issue with a lot, including myself, have that. Like, I'd say with the current consoles, we should have the capability of having at least a fidelity performance mode at the minimum. Maybe an exception for some games, like let's say a Plague Tale Requiem that just recently came out also only offers 30 FPS for console. At least I think it's only on Xbox Series X, but still it's restricted to 30 FPS. So like that type of game, I think maybe warrants it, since at least it was intentionally made and developed in that respect. But for something like Gotham Knights, where obviously it was indicative that like, hey, this game is not going to work for previous gen consoles, so we're going to cut that. We're only releasing on current gen, and then when you release on current gen, then you don't have any option, no fidelity mode. You're basically restricted to fidelity mode versus performance mode. Then that's kind of where I think you have issue, where it's like, what are we gonna do here? Where do we go? Where do we go now? So I mean, I just don't think this generation that we're gonna necessarily see a lot. But then it's like I think about it, it's kind of like a trade off where at least in retrospect, I'm thinking that kind of was a benefit of having a game be cross gen, where the scalability of making the game at least run optimally for a previous console and then bringing it to and building up for a current gen where you do have the performance versus fidelity, and that maybe gives more leeway to do that versus like making and developing a game strictly for current gen consoles and then having the issue now where because it's so optimized or trying to be the best looking, that at least it's going to compromise the frame rate to have a 30 fps game. So I don't know. I just feel like there should be a compromise where you can just at least develop with having a fidelity and performance mode in mind. Since these consoles are basically essentially becoming straight up PCs, and that's been like the norm for the past 2 years of this current gen console cycle. So I don't know, man. I just hope and pray that at least this isn't the standard or norm. And don't get me wrong, of course people make an argument like, oh well, I mean, that's what PCs are for. You can just get it for PC. But then you got the exclusives that will, be exclusives at least for a year or two before coming to PC and things like that. And I just love being a console player myself. That's generally what I gravitate towards. So it's like, these new consoles, and they are of course beefier than the previous. I think that's a fair ask to have, is to at least get a performance and fidelity mode at the least. Or maybe the new thing now with this generation in like HDMI 2.1 and the 120 FPS capabilities is the 40 FPS mode, where that might be somewhat of a better balance. Maybe that's not such as low as 30 FPS, but 40, where you kind of get a taste of 60 FPS a little bit more in some ways. So I don't know. I just don't know. But at least that's where I stand. I think there you can appease both sides by at least developing with those two modes in mind, throughout your development process for the game. But a lot of upcoming games are going to have that. God of War is going to have a plethora of options. I think Callisto Protocol is going to have those options. So I don't know. At least so far, I think it's indicative of just the development being poorly developed. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I just don't know. And I just remembered this one, so we're gonna bring that up. I'm making yet another audible. Cause I can't. All right, moving on. So, Modern Warfare 2, about to come out, or I don't know, maybe tomorrow. Either way, coming out this weekend. Was at least the Twitter, at least where I first saw it, on Twitter via disc or does it play? Twitter via does it play? Yeah, on Does It Play, Twitter, which is basically a account dedicated towards educating people on if you can legitimately play a game off the disc without any internet connectivity. And at least they show when you basically do that for Modern Warfare 2 specifically for PS5, but presumably on Xbox Series S and X as well. Well, not S because that's digital only, but Series X on disc. That the size of the game literally is only 72, roughly 70. I even give it, I can at least we're rounding, but 70 megabytes. Literally, the disc is only 70 megabytes. So mind you, just for scale, just for comparison's sake, let's look up PS5 disc size. So, mind you, the average space for a PS5 disc and as well as a Series X disc, since they use the same Blu-ray technology, 667 gigabytes. That is the available disk space on a disc to play a game. So 667 gigabytes, but the disc came shipped with only 72.23 gigabytes. So essentially rounding 70 gigabytes. So that basically is like literally defeats the whole purpose of even having the game on a disc. Because I mean, at least nowadays, the main benefit of having a game on disc is to at least circumvent having to download the game, even though you technically have to do that with these consoles. And when you're, because you have to install the game, and when you're installing a game, you're basically copying the game to the hard drive, but you're doing it locally versus over the internet, which, you know, in some areas nowadays is still pretty bad with folks that have horrible internet, where, you know, even if what little data they have is going to take forever to download. So with that in mind, if somebody's gonna play this and, you know, they literally get this, at least mainly for the reason of you know, not having ideal internet, and this is a way to circumvent that and reduce having to download with bad internet, and they essentially have to download this game. Like 70 megabytes is nothing, so they literally just have to download the game as if it's digital, and that defeats the whole point of a disc. So, like, let's say, you know, the consoles are done, you literally won't be able to play this game because it's basically digitally reliant, you know, which is unfortunate, especially like, you know, this game is definitely multiplayer focused. So obviously a lot of folks are in that mindset and have gotten it digitally, include myself. But like, you got people that maybe just want to solely play the play the campaign, the single player campaign, or maybe just the co-op with a buddy and not necessarily a multiplayer. But, and even then, it's like that still shouldn't be a reason to not put a substantial amount of data on this disc. It's just offensive. It's like, damn, it's like you might as well just have sold the disc without the case, sold the case without the disc, and just put a download code in there at that point. Because it's like, what, you just wasting a disc at that point. Like 70 megabytes out of what, 667 gigabytes. Like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? What the hell? I digress. But unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It feels like definitely that's where things are going, strictly digital. But hey, I'm definitely like, I'll say it again, I'm a huge proponent for physical media and physical, you know, games. And hey, I'm at least gonna do everything in my power. At least pretty much, most single player games I play on disc, and then most multiplayer games I generally tend to get on digital. just based on the frequency of playing multiplayer games is higher than single player. So that just makes sense there. But still, it's like for people who do this just to circumvent the issues of downloading and having bad internet, horrible internet that will take like weeks to download something. It's messed up, man. It really is. It really is. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. With that being said, I think that'll conclude the news for this week. Let's get in what I've been playing. Which has been No More Heroes 3. Finished it, and it was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't really notice some of the minor quips that people had, especially if you played the Switch version, which I did. But felt really good. Third time, well, yeah, I think I played it. Well, it might have been my fourth time replaying it technically, but it was great. Of course, yeah, that's 60 FPS. 4K. I think it runs at 4K 60 FPS, which is great, fantastic. And it was a fun experience to actually play it in a different light. You do see some of the issues with the design, obviously to compensate for the Switch, which it originally launched on. But overall, as a whole, it was a great job to port it over. I think the one issue is that achievements / trophies weren't unlocking properly, which obviously I beat the game on spicy, which is one of the harder difficulties. Did not get achievement for it at all, so hopefully they fix that. But I was like, I'm good. I'll come back at least a little while later after they probably patched it. Maybe try to go for some of the more challenging achievements. Maybe do the collectibles and stuff again. But we'll see. But at least from that standpoint, thoroughly enjoy the game. It's great. It's great. No More Heroes 3. No More Heroes 3. Yeah, I still think it's the third best. Like, I think I still like the original the most. Second is right behind it, and I think I put third at third, ironically. But I do enjoy it for what it is. I just wish the game incorporated all of your beam katanas like the first two, but at least maybe let you switch them on the fly. And each one is drastically different. So I think just based off that alone, I think that would have made the game way more enjoyable for me personally. And then the whole death glove. I don't know. I felt like it didn't change the gameplay enough or make the game. It didn't compensate enough for the lack of the beam katanas, the diversity of the beam katanas, even though like your ecstasy gauge, the certain levels dictates your combo strings, it felt like. But then if you're always playing good and you're always at the max ecstasy gauge, it like kind of defeats the purpose of the diversity of attacks. So that's probably my biggest gripe with the game, and I think in turn makes the game feel a little too stagnant compared to the other two. But I still like it and appreciate it, obviously, for its wonderful, immaculate style and presentation, which is always going to be a huge selling point for a Suda51 game. Never fails to impress me in that respect, and that's a huge component to the Suda51 experience as well. But I still love it, still enjoy it. Hey, here's to hopefully getting a fourth one, and hopefully getting ports of the first and second one to Xbox and PS5 as well. So I think I know they talked about patching the game on PC because there's still some big issues on PC specifically. So I think maybe once they iron those out, then we'll eventually get ports of 1 and 2 to all the consoles finally. So that's great. It's wonderful. Then also um, also played Modern Warfare 2, the campaign. So the campaign came out a week early before it drops, either tonight or tomorrow. So I was like, hell yeah, because at least for me, I have at least specifically for Call of Duty, is always a big FOMO, fear of missing out. Where I generally, whenever I get a Call of Duty game, new Call of Duty game, I generally always play the campaign first. After I beat the campaign, then I go into multiplayer. I know a lot of people that just completely skip the campaign just to go right into multiplayer right when it drops. But me, I just like of course getting a feel for the story, as well as getting a vibe for the gameplay mechanics before those are implemented into the multiplayer as well, and playing with some of the stuff before you do it into the multiplayer component also. But yeah, well, at least with this, it does give opportunity for a lot of players to play the game um, that otherwise wouldn't. That would just go right to the multiplayer to play it before it releases the multiplayer, which is pretty dope. I really hope this becomes the standard, at least for Call of Duty games coming going forward, because this is a wonderful idea that like at least gets people to play. Like these developers be putting their blood, sweat, and soul into these single player campaigns as well. And to see them not be played at all is kind of a shame. But at least now, it helps capitalize on the hype and gets people that otherwise wouldn't want to play the single player to actually play it, which is pretty dope. And on top of it, at least I could definitely say after playing it and beating it, this is probably one of the best Call of Duty campaigns I played in a good while. Like I guess probably since the original one I thought was pretty good, but I think this might even be better in a lot of ways. Pacing was great, pretty interesting story. Obviously, it's a lot, takes a lot from the original Modern Warfare 2, but definitely does a good job of mixing it up and putting it a new spin on it, a modern a modern spin on it. So that's pretty dope. I dig that. I dig it a lot. What else? You got some of the repeat stuff. You definitely get a lot of all gillied up vibes and all gillied up inspiration, and oh, this is all gillied up again. I forgot the AC-130 mission. I think it was in the original Modern Warfare, but you get a lot of the original AC-130. One of the mission that's basically a rehash of that in this one. So I mean, it's expected to some extent, but to do some interesting stuff. On top of that, you hanging from a helicopter. You gotta I guess it's kind of Last of Us. I used to associate that with Last of Us, shooting upside down. But hey, it's cool. They do it in a very tasteful way that at least makes it feel fresh and new. So they kind of remake wet work in a way, going on a ship, and then the ships are moving based on like the ship, the ship's course and all that stuff. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's I was tempted to play it again, but I'm like, I got so many other games I want to play. But I was definitely one of when I'm tempted to play it all over again, I mean, hey, that's a very good sign. So yeah. Hell yeah. Then I also played REverse. So there is a beta, yet another beta before the game officially comes out alongside the Winter's Expansion DLC this weekend. And this one was I mean, it's basically more of the same of Reverse. Not gonna lie though, I was enjoying it a bit more because they added progression as well as a currency to purchase like in-game currency to purchase perks to add to your character. Like basically, you get more health, or your gun does more damage, stuff like that. And that kind of made it fun. Of course, you can buy emotes where, after you won a game, post game victory emote, you can, pop that when you're like the top three there. But pretty much more the same. I got to play a little bit more with Jack Baker. Had this awesome streak where basically if you do one attack with Jack Baker, like, and they're on the ground, and you could do this one attack that basically grabs them and does the iconic, welcome to the family, son, from the original game RE7. You basically they're insta killed essentially. So, I mean, of course, it's fun as hell to do it on your end, but when you're on the receiving side, it's like kind of annoying because you are like stun locked essentially, and you can't evade out the way. So maybe they'll hopefully patch some of that stuff out, at least in time. And then there's only 2 maps. You can only play the RPD building and the Baker's house or Baker's location. So hopefully maybe if they add more locales, that might be more interesting. And of course, more characters. I gotta see a Marvin Branagh. I gotta see him. So it's a lot of potential to make it more interesting. I mean, I'm gonna still say it. I would rather, and if there's any multiplayer Resident Evil game I would want, it's absolutely 1000% Resident Evil Outbreak. At least a port or a remake is very welcomed and wanted. But we'll see. I think it'll eventually, hopefully, click at some point that at least we're voicing the desire need for Outbreak. But who knows? We need Outbreak. I need to start streaming it again. At least get the message out. That just know that we still want it. But and I think that's one of the bigger concerns, is that, like, I feel like Capcom would have shut down the fan project if they were working on it, but maybe it's in this weird legal territory where they can't necessarily do it or something like that. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, it just every time it just makes every damn horrible multiplayer Resident Evil game just makes me want Outbreak all the time. But one day we might get those prayers answered, hopefully. But we'll see. But I mean, I was still enjoying myself. But I feel like it's a game where I would only get my enjoyment maybe like I'll play it like a day or two, and then I will play something else. I don't feel like it has the longevity to keep me engaged. Maybe with periodic updates where they're substantial, like that would be dope. Yeah, if they add Ethan Winters, his face is just covered, and then of course Lady D. I think those are inevitable characters that are eventually going to come in the game. But it's just too janky for me. It's too janky. I mean, I like janky games, but I'm just saying as a whole, it's not a great game representation. I don't know. I digress. That's pretty much all of what I've been playing. Let's get in what I've been watching. So, She-Hulk, finished that season. The finale was pretty great. Did I talk about She-Hulk? I maybe did. Actually, I think I might have. Might have been on accident, but yeah, I'm gonna just skip that. We'll just say that didn't happen. So, Black Adam, though, saw that in theaters. Man, that was even after some time has passed, that was a pretty dope movie, I have to say. Definitely one of the best DC movies I've seen in a minute, for sure. The Rock, he acted his ass off. All that working out for this role, bulking up, man, it paid off. He knows the character, man. He just knows how to be Black Adam. I love me an anti-hero. And man, Black Adam definitely is that. You know, he's straight killing people, waking up, just electrocuting people, breaking their necks. I guess minor spoilers. I'm trying not to spoil, but it was overall a very wonderful movie. It had a really good pacing, a lot of good action. You know, you get the occasional like let's be like X-Men First Class, where you know you got Quicksilver and everything is slow to him because he's so fast, and you know you got that. I didn't think I would see that movie, but alas, we did. But it was good. It was very good. I really enjoyed the story, especially of course the after credits, pretty damn good. Yeah, overall, highly approve. This is a very strong showing. All Pierce Brosnan was good. Aldous Hodge was good. Of course, I forgot the other two actors that played Atomic Smasher and the Wind Girl, Tornado Girl. That might be her name. I think her name is actually Tornado Girl. I could be wrong, but Wicked Twister. I don't know. But yeah, man, The Rock. He definitely he put DC back. He put DC back on the map with that. I guess people like, you know, Batman, the Batman. But I mean, I'm just saying in terms of the DCEU specifically, even though the Batman is kind of technically on its own essentially, but the DCEU at least put it on his back. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. It's probably my favorite movie so far of the year, I'd say. Of course, Black Panther hasn't come out yet, but yeah, it definitely is very much at least probably going to be my top 3 of the year for sure. So, Black Adam, I do recommend it. Don't believe what these critics are saying about the movie. I feel like they got some vendetta against The Rock or something. It feels like, at least from some of the criticisms. Actually, I didn't really read too much into them because this was before watching the movie myself, but you know, he got a 90 audience score compared to the critic score. So, I mean, that tells you something. But I don't know. Maybe just the critics are jaded on The Rock or something. I don't know. But I very much thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I just, yeah, I love me an anti-hero, man. I love me my anti-heroes. He was anti-heroing it up for sure. So. Yeah. So with that being said, think of that. That'll do it. Think that will do it for episode 165 of Switch's Sites. Yeah. Well, if you did like the show, feel free to like, rate, and subscribe. 5 stars is greatly appreciated. You can catch me record this live on Twitch TV/aswitch Thursday evenings. You can also catch archives on youtube.com/aswitch as well. Until next time, y'all, happy Bayonetta, Modern Warfare 2, fucking shit. Fucking RE8 DLC is crazy. But get your damn game on. Feel free to fuck. Oh yeah. Nobody's safe.